they still gotta play us. Let's go, baby. Woo!
Don't run that ball on the one Hubbard, showed you how that go down. Feeling like Santino, tell him we want all the smoke now. We ain't snooping that commercial, we don't put no smoke down. Plus we back and you can't hide, so it ain't nowhere safe to go now. We always gon' turn up in that jungle every time. How we ain't gon' win when we loaded in with 9? Plus T just came in signed, so the city gon' be fine. Jamar say he open every time and he ain't never lied. Look at how we win at it, the size of the old line. Giving Burrow extra time should be a federal crime. Hey, we right back on that path again. Put the division back to the test, they won't pass again. Orlando and Trent Brown, that's the Tower Twins. Feel like we only getting better as we stacking wins.
And we stacking.
Jasecki in for 6, that's a gritty again. AFC North battles getting gritty again. It's Yoshi second year, and we just brought Burton in. Vaughn back to ring some bells, get the cracking again.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, Iceman Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I'm bringing you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio, home of some of the best wings around. That's right, it's Midwest Best Barbecue. And I ask you the same question every single day. Have you tried Midwest Best yet? And if not, why the hell not? Get out there, Ward's Corner Avenue exit on the east side. Get you some Dillinator wings, some CTV wings. Tell Tim and Nicole I sent you. Again, it's Midwest Best Barbecue. Also, the show is brought to you by Meyer Windows and Doors and more. Check them out at www.meyercincinnati.com for all your window and doors needs. I got them in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. Also, my West Side peeps, if you're looking for a cool little bar to go check out the games at, go check out Hell Marriage. It's your ticket to the game. They got big-ass TV screen, beer specials, food trucks, free parking. It's an awesome little place right there in the heart of Cheviot. Again, that's Hail Marys, your ticket to the game. What is going on to everybody that's in the chat? Strangers in there. Sharf Johnson? I think I said that wrong. He said, what's up? Brad's in there. Keith's in there. Holmes in there. Paul's in there. What is going on, everybody? All right, we are very, very close to Jackpot Joey versus Patrick Mahomes again. And just want to remind everybody, Jackpot is 3-1 versus Patrick Mahomes. We'll see what happens. Hopefully the Bengals play a hell of a lot better than they played on Sunday. New notes of the day, T. Higgins was still on the rehab field. Logan Wilson was back. Jamar is out there practicing, and he enjoys talking smack to the Kansas City Chiefs, but not necessarily through the media because he says the media blows it up, but who knows. Anyway, let's get to my co-host. He's the man, he's the myth, the legend. He's Joe Farfsing. All right, Joe Schmo, whatever you want to call him. Hold on, I gotta switch screens here. Hey, there you are, Joe. What's up?
What's happening, brother?
Not much. Just chilling here on a Thursday, getting ready for this epic game. Like, look, I keep going back and forth. I cannot see the Bengals playing as bad as they did Sunday. Maybe I'm too much of a homer. I think they're too talented of a team. I think they're going to get up for this. I mean, they're not going to lay an egg Sunday. They might lose, but I think it's going to be close. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know about what the final score is going to be or anything like that. I mean, there's a lot to be even before game time that'll help decide that. But they're not going to look as bad as they did on Sunday. I mean, they were terrible and it was a one-score game. I mean, if they didn't wimp out and punt the ball away and actually go for it, like they're driving to take the lead. So
that would have been nice. All right, so let's get to the man who brings the fire. He's very analytical. And I call him Money Mick, Money Mcphillips, because he loves Money Mick as far as the kicker. He loves that nickname. That's his favorite nickname. So I decided to call Evan Money Mcphillips. Here he is. Evan, what's going on, brother?
Jeff, Joe, how we doing, man? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Doing awesome.
No problem. So I'll ask you the same question that I asked Joe. We can't play that bad again this Sunday versus the Chiefs, right? It can't happen back-to-back games, right?
No, and I think it's important to remember that, like the odds of a coin are 50-50, right? But if you flip it 10 times in a row, you do have that chance that you get all heads, all tails, right? And unfortunately, it was coming up all tails in the bad way for the Bengals, where it seemed first couple drives stalled out where it was, hey, good first down run, take some yards off. Second down would be a sack, a holding call, another sack. And then suddenly you're in third and long and you have tough position, can't move the ball, can't convert because of how they're clouding things deep. And there you go. Now suddenly you're kind of putting yourself behind the 8 ball. And then you have after that a great drive where you get down in the end zone, and then you have the fumble, and then you have the Charlie Jones fumble, and it's like you had everything going wrong at the exact right time for the Patriots, and on top of the 13 missed tackles that the Bengals.
No, I counted. It was 3,000. 3,000 missed tackles. That's how many missed.
It definitely felt like that.
Yeah.
So when you take all that into account, obviously, they're very unlikely to have 2 fumbles this game, right? And then they're unlikely to miss 13 tackles. So even if the tackling is not great, you miss 5, 6, 7, it's going to be half of what you had before. And there were a number of times that they had Ramondre Stevenson dead to right in the backfield there, and then couldn't convert, right? Or had him right at the line of scrimmage where he could get a 1 or a 2 yard gain as opposed to a 6, 8, 10, 12 yard gain, right? And so just converting those plays by nature of the flip of the coin, kind of like one-score games, where going back toward the average as opposed to the aberration, you'll see improvement from that. I still think that the Bengals need to be a little sharper. Coaching adjustments need to come a little bit quicker in response to what's going on with the defense. Burrow himself can kind of trust himself a little bit more.
Evan, I think it's getting to a point. He's historically a slow starter. I mean, that's
the Bengals are all of
them. The Bengals are in general, and that's where I find it. I don't want to say comical, but shocking that some of these Bengals fans are like, I know it's the Patriots, and hey, maybe the Patriots defense is better than we thought they were going to be.
They are good, all right?
Yeah,
They have some underrated players. So I hit that in my Pats review for Know Thy Enemy for TWSN and talked about how Anthony Jennings was actually a top 5 run defender last year, how Keon White had really spectacular flashes, and who's the safety that I'm forgetting? Jabril Peppers. How he was having a career renaissance.
Where's he been at? I didn't even know he's still in the league.
He's been in New England balling his ass out. He was top 5 safety last year, low key, man. And so there were reasons to believe that they were going to have a good defense, but the offense being able to find the success that they did, obviously a large part of that was field position, right? Where the fumbles came in really inopportune areas and helped the Bengals out or helped the Patriots out. And then obviously the 4th down failure to convert really gave them good field position too. So just count that as another turnover, even if it is a turnover on downs. So taking all that in mind, I don't think that they start as bad as they can just from all of that. But everybody does need to look a little sharper, and I think you will see a little bit of that edge. Maybe they looked past the Patriots a little bit. But I know a lot of people are frustrated, like you said, man, and they're floating, people need to play in the preseason more. And I'm like, well, the Eagles and the Cowboys and the Bucks didn't play their starters, and they looked just fine, right? They had a lot of contract drama. Guys, like I get that it's an annoyance, right? And it's something that people don't like answering questions about, and it's frustrating that way. But Tanner Hudson wasn't like about to score and then go, I'm so distracted by Jamal.
That's why his arm went like this. Like, damn it, Jamar's not signed. What am I doing with the ball here?
Right. Like, Joe Burrow's not like, Jamar doesn't have a contract yet, so I'm not going to put it in that tight window and risk him getting hurt. Or he's not in the quarterback room doing film review and going, man, I wish I could focus just a little bit better. Jamar's contract, though, he's still got 2 years, right? He's playing his season. He's still got 1. Like CD, Justin, they didn't get done until 1 year remaining. So it's not, all is lost situation. So when people say, they had controversy and that was just a distraction. Well, the Cowboys had their quarterback and their wide receiver up until kickoff. And they, again, did all right. So, that's where I'm like, man, I think we just need to own up that, hey, it wasn't great. Maybe they looked past them. Maybe they weren't quite prepared. Maybe they need to ramp up the intensity in their camp practices and maybe not have as many rest days. But I don't think subjecting your starters to basic shell coverages where they're not rolling coverage, they're not playing real defense, an extra 15, 20 preseason snaps and everybody magically is good. 20 plays, that makes it all better. I just don't believe that. I think there's something in preparation in the offseason.
Joe, what you got?
It's almost like, and I don't think this is the case, but it's almost like Zach Taylor and the team they're kind of rope-a-doping, just kind of not wanting to put anything out there, trying to look weak the first couple weeks, and until people get film and then they then they break out the real playbook and start playing like they're supposed to. I know that's not the case. There's
the
only
secret
17
playbook
games
that they're hiding. There's a secret playbook,
right? There's only 17 games. You can't punt on any. But it's just frustrating as hell when the passing game was off. The running game, the run game looked okay. They just didn't go to the well enough. 12 carries total. Rush, run defense. They were there, the fits were there. They were in places to make plays, and time after time after time. They were at the line of scrimmage and Stevenson bounces outside for 9-yard pickup and a first down time after time after time. Brissett, he was only 15 of 24 for 121 yards. Like that, I mean, that's not a very good day at the offense or at the office, but he was able to step up and make throws when it mattered, or just no pressure in the middle of the defense and just step up and escape. And he had 30.
Well, that's the thing too. Look, that's
32 yards rushing.
That's where I think Sean Raggett to BJ Hill need to stay in their gap integrity more, because when I watched it, instead of standing the guy up, if they stay where they're at in their gaps, he's going to run right to him. They were getting off their blocks, which you're going. I understand that, but you got to if Trey Anderson is coming this way and he's going to push him up, you stay right there, and then you get off your block, and then you can get him. That's where it looked like to me they got out of their gaps, and that's why Brissett took off. Anybody?
I think you made a good point that he had 3 first downs on his scrambles. Yeah. And again, it wasn't like you said about high total yardage. It was about missed tackles, getting extra yards in the run game that way, field position from 4th down, failure to converts, and having multiple turnovers. And that was just enough to get them to the points that they needed to win the game, unfortunately. And I don't think that that's something that you can necessarily count on if you're the Chiefs. I think they're going to have to find other ways to generate problems for the Bengals, though. They definitely do need to look sharper, and it sucked. Like, the other aspect is too that was kind of random a little bit was every time they had the perfect coverage, whether it was the 4th and 3 screen where the DN drops out and suddenly the numbers change, right? Whether it's suddenly you have all of your concepts just not matching up well, bad play call for whatever coverage was out there. But then the times you would get the perfect play call for the perfect coverage, Joe Burrow wasn't seeing it well, or got sped up, or there was the time that Trent Brown lost or got beat, or the time that Kappa got beat. And then it was like everything just seemed to happen at the worst time, where it's like, man, you just couldn't get one thing to break your way. So I think they will look in the film room, and I think Joe will be kicking himself, and I think he's probably going to press a little bit harder and have a little more urgency than he did in last game, and maybe be more willing to try and hit those tight window throws and rip those throws to Jamar Chase that we saw him kind of hesitate on a little bit.
I got a question here from Michael here. Put to both of you. I get asked this all the time. I think people know my answer. But was it play calling on offense, or was it Burrow not confident?
It was both. And that's the easy answer, right? And starting with the play calling, there was some good, right? I don't want to feel like I'm bagging on them entirely. Like, some of the play action plays they had looked pretty good. The little play action HB screen that they went into, I liked that. Moving Chase into the slot more, had run game success where they had 4 runs for 33 yards with Moss and 8-yard rush for Brown on that touchdown drive. But the problem that I really have is that I feel like they didn't make the adjustments once they saw the Patriots doing a lot of this cover 2, staring hard in the flats. They didn't challenge the linebackers. They didn't try and put defenders in conflict. They didn't try and flood the zones and kind of make these guys in conflict, where they continually kept spreading things out, and they would run isolated routes, and and everything had to be quick and get out. And so it didn't make the defenders really think, communicate, and try and every time they have to communicate, they have to adjust, they have to pass a guy off. That's an opportunity for a breakdown in communication, or for you to make the mistake, and that creates an open opportunity for a player. It's how we see constantly guys like Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay get these guys open, is using these concepts to put defenders in conflict, and there just weren't enough opportunities where you take a linebacker like Juwan Bentley, who is not a great coverage linebacker like his counterpart Jelani Tavai is, and put him in conflict. Put a route in front of him, behind him, and make him wrong, whatever it is, because Joe Burrow can figure out what that open throw is. I didn't see enough answers like that, but then there was sometimes where, like at the end of the game, where you had the out and ups, you had the cover 1 look, you had the one-on-one matchups you wanted. There were other times that Jamar Chase looked like he was about to split the safeties in the middle of the field and cover 2. Those are throws that Joe would normally rip, and I feel like that's probably a comfort thing more than any type of health thing. And
and also the thing I put up too, Evan, is he hadn't played football in 10 months. I mean, so that's the thing too. And just for where I was sitting, there were at least 2 or 3 times I saw Jamar, I don't want to say wide open, but he was open enough where Joe normally would have ripped it and sent it to him, and he didn't. He checked it down. So
he was open on the last drive. He made a move and he split. I don't know the exact route combination, but it was a double move, and he was open downfield if he would have kept his eyes.
And that to me that's like, me and Joe were talking about, what were we talking about earlier today? I thought to myself, if you don't, going to school. Like, going to school, like, Joe's talking about the kids might want to go to school year round because they forget stuff and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of like football. And not that he forgets, but if you don't play football and you don't have to read and react and read defenses in football speed and you haven't done it in 10 months, you're going to be rusty. I've said this on every freaking show this week. I think Joe was just a little rusty, a little hesitant, didn't trust what he saw. But we've seen that for every game except for probably, I think maybe his rookie year. The game against the Chargers that they should have won, in the pass interference on A.J. Green, which still is a pass interference. But ever since then, it seems like Joe is just a notoriously slow starter. And with him not playing for 10 months, I really think that had a lot to do with it. Now, that being said, rolling into Kansas City this week, I think, and they might have been overlooking the Patriots, which I have never seen this team really do, but they might have done that a little bit this week because they do have the Chiefs, and they've lost to the Chiefs like the last 2 times. So I know it is circled on the calendar. I know Joe really wants to play well. Jamar wants to play really well because he won't even say their freaking name, the quarterback's name. It will come out of his mouth. They call it Burrowhead. So that's where I'm like, I think things are going to be tightened up a lot more. I think it's going to be a close game. Evan, what are your keys to the Bengals winning in Burrowhead? Yeah, I said Burrowhead.
Well, the first key is to limit Rashee Rice. And he had 127 yards when the last time these two teams met. And you have to make Xavier Worthy, who's a rookie, who might not have the chemistry or the same kind of feel with Mahomes that these other guys seem to, and Travis Kelce, who, quite frankly, while still a talented and smart player, still able to find the soft spots in the zone, doesn't quite have the athleticism on the catch and run that he used to beat you. So last time they met, they held him to 16 yards. I think it was 3 catches. So if they can do that again, where they can say, hey, we're going to limit Rashee Rice, we're going to make old Travis Kelce try and sit in zones and just paper cut us to death, and we'll rally and tackle, try and stay on Xavier Worthy as much as we can because we have the corners who have the athleticism to be able to match up with him. I think that's going to be their secret. And also the big thing is to contain Mahomes because obviously we know they struggle with these rollouts, these rushing quarterbacks who seem to find these gaps, find these creases, especially on third down, find their way to the first down marker. So containing Mahomes, who is very great at sack avoidance, it's going to be really key. It's going to be really huge. And lastly with that, I also think that you need to try and force them to, let's say, maybe lighten the box a little bit. Lend a little bit more to pass coverage because your guys, like we said in the secondary, were in position to make plays last week. It's just a matter of actually having good form, actually having the fundamentals and being sound when you're tackling. And so that is going to make them give the ball to Isaiah Pacheco or at least try and swing that way. And I think as much as Isaiah Pacheco is a talented guy, as much as he runs hard, he doesn't break as many tackles as you think he would based on his per attempt numbers. His elusive rating was not very high compared to other running backs that we might think of as tackle breakers. And so I think every time you're taking the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands, out of Rashee Rice's hands, and putting it in the run game, I think you are putting yourself at an advantage because I think I would rather take the Bengals defense versus Isaiah Pacheco repeatedly and try and get that tackle for loss that puts them in a long situation on second down, third down, as opposed to trying to take my odds against going against Patrick Mahomes, dropping back constantly.
Joe, what do you got? What's your keys?
Yeah. The problem with the Bengals on offense and defense is I don't say that there's a lot of risk avoidance, but they expect on both sides of the ball everyone to win one-on-one matchups. That's their offense is predicated on having chess pieces set up and Chase go out and beat his man, Higgins go out and beat his man. That's why they don't have that much motion. They don't run so much under center. And on defense, they don't blitz. Lou does not like blitzing. Last week, they blitzed, 11% of the time, which was one of the lowest in the league. And they weren't able to get to the quarterback. And that's with Mahomes, there's the risk reward. Do you blitz him and try to, that's the risk with everybody. But he's so good at avoiding and throwing off platform. Bengals have had some success blitzing him in the past, picking and choosing, but they're not getting the wins one-on-one in pass rush to be able to just line up for play after play after play. So it's kind of a balance. Will they get some, but will Osai play more than just a handful of snaps? He had 5 pass rush snaps, and a lot of it, they ran the ball a lot.
Yeah.
They had 21 passing, 21 and however many rushes. So I guess 28 passing attempts. He only had 5 pass rush snaps in the entire game. He's going to have to win because Sam Hubbard isn't winning at all anymore. He's I said my piece about Sam Hubbard the other day.
Joe's a very big Sam Hubbard fan.
It's got nothing to do with the man. Like
I know. I understand
he plays his ass off.
No, I agree.
No juice in the pass rush, and they need. And Trey can't be the only guy because we saw what happened. Well, Trey's coming off the end. He had a 40% pass win rate, which is ridiculous. Like, insane.
I agree with what Trey said. If you move Sam inside, I think that's better, and maybe have that's where hopefully
he doesn't have enough sand in his pants. He'll get absolutely washed out. He's good there on like if he's there against the run, like he'll get absolutely washed out. Pass, okay, like they've moved him inside in time, and fine. I mean, you can use your quickness there, but they need to figure something out. And if they're going to blitz, be smart about who's blitzing. That's the one thing. If it's Mike Hilton is an insanely good blitzer off the edge, but then you're leaving someone out of the slot open. So we'll see. I have a feeling it's either going to be a close Bengals win or it's going to be a smackdown. Bengals lose by 3 possessions.
I think it's going to be a 3-point game either way. Because see, like that's the way it is when Joe and Patrick play. Go ahead, Evan. What you got?
Yeah, it really comes down to what this offense can look like, right? Because I think the defense can be opportunistic, right? I think they can generate some of these negative plays that they need to do. They seem to do that well when they play the Chiefs. They seem to match up well in that regard. And I think they're going to have a lot of fire in them trying to play after last week. And we saw that the interior wasn't even necessarily the problem last week. They were getting a lot off the edge, a lot off the tackle, a lot versus the corners. That's going to be different this week because the interior is full of all-stars as opposed to David Andrews and, a couple guys who have kind of circulated around the NFL or are rookies. So that's going to be definitely a challenge. But I'm definitely looking at this offense to try and generate points because you're going to have to find a way to keep up with the Chiefs and Mahomes, right? All you can do is try and slow them down as much as you can. But fortunately, while their corners are talented, their linebackers and Bolton and Tranquil, while Tranquil had his kind of bounce back a little bit after being on waivers, he was still on the waiver wire just very recently. And Bolton can be challenged in coverage. He's just not very consistent in that way. And as much as I love Justin Reed as a player, love how he plays and his style and how physical he is, he's a great tackler and run defender, but he is a liability in coverage. So I think there are ways that you can challenge these guys a little bit, but it's going to come down to, we know Spagnuolo loves to blitz, right?
Yeah.
Joe Burrow has been excellent.
He'll blitz you when he wakes up from in bed. He'll blitz you from there.
Right. And unfortunately, they have their own kind of Mike Hilton and Trent McDuffie, who was actually 6th in PFF grade among cornerbacks last season and 1st in pass rush grade, where he had 16 pressures and 3 sacks. So he's definitely going to be someone to watch out for in that regard. But it's going to come down to Joe Burrow being able to identify the blitz, someone get open, like Joe was talking about. They're going to have a lot of one-on-one matchups, and someone has to win. I don't know, as much as I love Trent Irwin, if you're manned up, if you're stuck up, I don't know that you have.
He can't beat
Absolutely
people
not.
one-on-one. He's really good at contested catches, but he can't get enough separation. And I love T.I. That's my
right.
dude,
I think he's a solid veteran. I think he has a good place on this team. But if you're going to be expecting a lot of these man looks, a lot of these blitz looks, a lot of these matchups where you need separation, where you need ball winners, and you don't have T, and you only have Jamar, we know he's going to be getting safety help. Someone else has to do something. And Yoshibas, while I love him, is still working on the finer aspects of everything.
Yeah.
It's still working on figuring out the little ways that he, as a big body receiver, can get more separation. So guys like Charlie Jones, like Jermaine Burton, need to be on the field.
That was my next question: is do you think Burton gets on the field this week? Because it would help a lot.
I think they should. I don't think they will, Jeff. We know how they operate, and I don't think that 1 week of concern that we have that I don't think they share for their offense. It's the same thing they did with Chris Evans. It's like I guess he's still not in the playbook enough, or I don't know what it is. That's the only thing that's the only thing that they said during training camp is he's got to get in the playbook more, and maybe he hasn't. I don't know, but this would be, if you don't have T, which most likely we're not going to have T. He hasn't practiced all week. We need that speed, and Burton, just put him outside and run. Whenever you plan on putting Jamar in the slot,
Right.
put him outside, have him run
Yeah.
clear out
Right.
All day
Exactly.
Yeah, he can do that. He can do that absolutely. Like, let him be the clear out guy.
I will bet that. I mean, he had 4 snaps on Sunday. I will bet that he at least doubles that. Bengals didn't run a whole lot of plays on offense. They had 48 snaps. I'm going to bet that he's at least on the field for 10. Now, whether he sees a target or not is another story. But again, it's the only reason he's going to be out there is because he's not most likely not going to go. But yeah, I mean, let him, like Evan said, just have him run on the outside and just run 9 routes. And if they forget about him, then throw the ball downfield. He can catch. It's whether he's running the right route. And if you have him run one route or run a really limited route tree, then then you don't have as much worry about him, running the wrong route or being in the wrong spot. So I think they need to. And this is the game again. You don't want to. Yeah, the Bengals have climbed out of 0-2 holes before. They climbed out of slow starts before, but this I don't know if this team is going to be able to make it out if they go 0-2 and before they even hit any division games or anything like that. They need a, I don't know about a win, but not them, they need a win, but I mean they need to show something. They can't just run the same crap out. Do the same crap that they did last week. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm a little more optimistic. I mean, even if we are, look this way. I think it's going to be a 3-point game either way. I hope we win. I don't know if we're going to or not, but I think it's going to be close. And even if we do start 0-2, I still think we got a shot to get out of this because they've done it before, and it's the same freaking team except for minus Tyler Boyd and Joe Mixon. So I mean, and DJ Reader. So, but I mean, I don't. That's where I'm like, I don't see. Huh?
And Jesse Bates.
Yeah, but they were 0-2 without him, and they got there. So I mean, that's yeah. But I mean, they still got the same team. I'm like, they replaced it with Geno Stone. Say what you want about him. It's only one game. I'm not to the point where I'm like, if it's 0-2, and I never like this. Give me, like I said, I put this tweet out earlier today that I am very. I might be making this bet, but looking to see what the odds are of the Bengals being in first place come the end of November. Because when Joe Burrow's healthy and we get off to these 0-2 starts, 90% of the time, by the end of November, we're in first place and we're awful damn close.
I mean, part of it is no one in the division really. I mean, the only team that won was the Steelers.
Right.
Were an offensive point or an offensive touchdown, and they are clearly the
worst.
At least offensively. At least offensively, the worst team in the division. Defense, they still have a good defense, but that's not going to carry. They can't carry more than 9 wins at best case scenario.
They've had a good defense the last couple of years, and what's that got them? I mean, they don't have a. They still. I still think they have a quarterback, but that's that neither here nor there.
They have 2 quarterbacks, which means they have no quarterback.
Right, exactly, and that's the thing too. Is like everybody needs to remember. Everybody lost some Steelers. We win this week. We're right back in this thing. Even we lose, we're still not that far out unless everybody freaking. I mean, if everybody wins, that sucks. But we're still not that far out of it. So it's like it's not over even if we are 0-2, and I don't think we're going to be, but I don't know.
And we don't have Deshaun Watson at quarterback either. So there's another.
Thank God for that. So I'll bring this up here, and I did see the interview here, but I'm not sure what. Mike was talking about. I said, did you hear what Chase said? Look at Chase's interview. And is that the one, I guess it's the one that after practice? Because he just said that he likes talking trash and the media blows it up. Is the only thing that I saw that he said. If there's something else that I missed, let me know, Michael. So, Evan, if the Bengals get off to an 0-2 start, is it over?
No, not at all. And the other part of that, and the reason why, is because you play the Commanders, the Panthers, the Giants, the Browns, the Raiders, all in the next 6 or 7 weeks, right? So you might get better odds on that 1 seed that you were talking about after next week, and then suddenly they go on a run like they used to as they start to figure things out a little bit. And there is no better stretch of teams to figure things out against than the Commanders, who have struggled with their offensive line and struggled to run like an offense outside of just QB scramble, and looked pretty poor like the Bengals did last week, especially against the Buccaneers. You have the Panthers, who are struggling and also just lost their best player, Derek Brown, for the season. So that's really tough for them. You have the Raiders, who, while might be a little bit inspired with the new coach of Antonio Pierce, I still don't see them as being hyper competitive. They have some great players in Max Crosby and Devontae Adams. And obviously everybody's very excited about their tight end tandem, but it just hasn't really amounted in much with Gardner Minshew at the helm. And the Giants, we know what Daniel Jones is. How do we keep calling ourselves into Daniel Jones? I don't understand it. I see it every year where people are like, this is the year we're going to reclaim Daniel Jones. His glory that he had for
how's that worked out?
Yeah. Everybody got in on the bandwagon. What was that when he beat the Tom Brady Buccaneers They beat them that one Thursday night game or something, and then everybody's believed in
Danny Dime, baby.
He had a decent season at the most opportune time, I think, in NFL history. Deshaun Watson, before all of his issues and everything, was a legitimate top 5-ish quarterback. Yeah. So that's, but you look at the contract that Daniel Jones received after one decent season, you're like, man, teams are afraid of not having a quarterback. They are terrified of not having a quarterback.
And Saquon Barkley had a better year. That offense ran through Saquon Barkley. I mean, that he's the one that should have got the contract instead.
They were doing the Bengals thing where they were just chucking it deep with guys like Wan'Dale Robinson the whole time. Yeah. Or not Wan'Dale. Who's the other the Slater? No, God. Who's the other little wide receiver, the little speedster they have over there?
Is it Shepard?
No, Sterling Shepard's always hurt and has.
Yeah.
I hope Sterling Shepard's doing all right. I'm looking at the depth chart right now. Darius Slayton. There we go.
Yeah, that's right.
They had Darius Slayton just running deep all the time, and he was like their leading receiver. And it was just like they won a bunch of one-score games. The defense generated a bunch of – it was all held together in a house of cards with glue and gum, and everybody was like, it's not repeatable. And the Giants were like, let's double down. Let's do this. We got this. But, yeah, I don't know what they're doing. I guess comfortable is like how they like to feel over there, even if it's not so great. It's familiar. They know what it is.
I'm actually surprised. I'm looking at the snap counts for at position, and Jamar Chase ran 15 of his 43 slots, so over a third of his routes from the slot. I didn't realize it was that much. Yeah, I like that. I would love to see him in motion again, just to give him clean releases, just to first off, put someone in motion, just to kind of give it a little tell of what the defense is doing, whether it's man to man or zone. But actually really surprised at that number.
And I liked having him kind of stacked in the slot with guys too, especially as the trail option. That gives you the opportunity to use guys like Richard Ross, like Burton as those clear out routes. But it also, again, like I said, puts defenders in conflict, makes them have to communicate, especially if you have a young secondary or guys who aren't quite so familiar with the scheme or what the rules are or what they're going to do. Then, yeah, absolutely, especially if it was a scheme like the Patriots where you have a lot of different calls and communications, and sometimes you're playing man to one side and zone on another. And then if you got everything delved out and suddenly you walk up to the line and three guys all stand next to each other and you don't know how they're about to break out, now pre-play, you're trying to figure out, okay, if he breaks this way, I got this guy, and this breaks this way, but then two guys run at you, and now you're like, wait, now we have a defender not even getting anybody. Like, that's the advantage of doing these stacks, doing these flood concepts, doing these bunches. And so I hope to see more of that in the creativity as opposed to just like spread is good to get visual confirmation, but why don't we spread things out, get the visual cues that Joe Burrow wants, and then maybe motion into a bunch or motion into a stack. So then you get the advantages of kind of spreading the defense out, making them declare early, but then you get the advantage of kind of getting these stacks, these bunches, these unimpeded releases for guys who might be on the backside of the bunch, and also just create constant communication issues for them.
Yeah, and I hope we see some more behind or under center more this game too, because I keep going back to the best I think the Bengals offense looked last year was the game against the Sucky Niners. And Joe was under center a lot. He was in shotgun a lot. They did a lot of motion. The Sucky Niners never really knew what was happening. And that's to where I want us to get again. Because that's where I'm like, they can do it. You know, we've seen them do it with the motion and with under center and all this stuff. So that's where I keep holding hope. And that 4-game stretch last year, where Joe was healthy, the offense started clicking. Don't count the Houston game. We'll throw that one out. But
the offense was clicking though.
Yeah, but couldn't get in the end zone. But yeah, that's it. So there's been times here recently that we can go back to. This offense does work, and it does do the things we want it to do. That's where I keep going back. It's got to work. I mean, I just don't know why we start off so damn slow. And I keep saying this, that, and it's crazy, but maybe they're legitimately. Because I'll tell you this. I even said this on my show. I said, look, even if Jamar doesn't play and if T doesn't play, I still thought we could beat the Patriots. Because the Patriots weren't, everybody said they're the worst team in football, yada, yada, yada. Their defense was a lot better than I thought they were. They played a damn good game. I mean,
good players on defense.
Yeah, I mean,
they've got guys.
Yeah, I mean, to stonewall Yoshivas on a fourth and 4, that last play, whatever it was, to stonewall him right at the line, that's a hell of a play, and Yoshivas has got to make that play. But I think the defense played a lot better than the Bengals expected them to. And look, if the Bengals got out there and got to a 14-point lead, this game's over. The Patriots had no offense to do that. That didn't happen. That's what's going to happen this week. I think the Bengals got to get out quickly. Hopefully they'll take the ball if we win the toss. Take the ball, go down and score, make them chase us. That's what I'm hoping. What would be your philosophy on the offense of how would you start off fast? Would you take the ball and try to go down and score first, or would you play defense? Go ahead, Evan.
All right, this is tough for me to say as an analytics guy, right? Because generally speaking, all things even,
you defer.
You don't need to run the ball a lot or even well for play action to work. Now, for the Bengals, because they are such an extreme in the sense of the passing team, and they don't do a lot of things under center to begin with, so they pass a lot more often than they run, and they don't go under center. And now you've gone under center, and every time you've done that, except for maybe once, you took play action shots. So now you are going to have to run it a couple times to establish the run. This is the only time I'm going to say it, just to at least get the Chiefs believing more.
That you would run the ball, right? Yeah, exactly. You got to respect it. They got to respect it somehow. Yeah.
Right, so that you can have these play action shots later, because you are going to need to generate explosives. And let's be honest right now, at present, the Bengals are the worst team just in general based on how they played, what we know now, and because Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid are so good at what they do, right? And that's a big advantage having Andy Reid as both head coach and play caller.
But the thing is, people say that's a disadvantage for Zach being head coach and play caller, but it's an advantage for Andy Reid.
Because Andy Reid is not Zach
Taylor.
Taylor.
Andy Reid is actually good at one of those, or both of those. And Zach Taylor is really good at the CEO part and a mixed bag of very good, and then sometimes what are we doing here? It's a mixed bag. Anyways,
I understand it, but nobody knows what pitcher's going to be like as a play caller either. So,
yeah. So my point is, overall, just that when you're the worst team on the road, you are going to have to try and introduce variance into the game somehow. You are going to have to try and get creative with blitzing, with trying to do different stunts, twists, simulated pressure, show everybody at the line, break out of it, never let them know, kind of like the Patriots did, whether you're bringing people or not, so that you can kind of have that element to surprise a little bit, so you're not as predictable. And also because communication between offensive lines, especially early in the season, they're not as practiced at that. They're not as practiced at passing things off that they're not used to seeing. So that's a way that you can generate sacks. You can get interceptions. You have to get tackles for loss. You have to be willing to be aggressive, because you have to get these plays that hurt their offense, that put you in an advantageous position. And on the same side, when you're on offense, you have to take shots, especially if you get those blitz looks when Burrow can dice things up and you can have your playmakers go make plays. You have to take advantage of those. You can't be scared. You can't dink and dunk and hope for the best here. You do have to take those shots. And that also does mean that Zach Taylor is going to have to identify what concepts the Chiefs are largely using and then call plays that are designed to help put his players in successful positions to make those plays. So you are going to have to take shots on offense and defense. And I think that's the script for trying to beat the Chiefs in their own stadium, is going to be aggressive, trying to introduce this variance into this game and put them in uncomfortable positions.
Joe, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with what Evan was saying. And the Chiefs don't have great tackles. I mean, we know Juwan Taylor is not very good, despite what his contract is. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. The rookie from BYU, Kingsley
Suamataia.
That guy. Right, exactly. I mean, he looks like he's going to be a solid player in the league, but he had a really rough day on last Thursday. And whether it's bringing guys off the edge, whether it's just Trey Hendrickson beating them one by one, and I don't think they're going to let Kingsley take Trey one-on-one, like they're going to have a tight end or someone chipping on him. But they're going to have to put those guys, stress on those guys, because they have the best interior offensive line. I mean, between Smith, Creed Humphrey, and Joe Thuney. Yeah, I mean, and again, you're getting a rookie left tackle in his second career game versus later in the year when there's a good chance that he's a lot more integrated and playing a lot more solid. So, yeah, I mean, the Bengals just I don't want to say it's a kitchen sink game, like, when they're just pulling out flea flickers and double reverses and Philly specials, but I feel like Right. You need to bring out a play like that. You need to be unpredictable.
Because the Chiefs will. That's why.
Don't
the
save
Chiefs
that
will
for the
do
Panthers game. Save
Right.
that for the Chiefs game.
Right.
And the Chiefs. You go ahead.
Part of me wonders if that's what the Bengals did. Again, I don't think they overlooked the Patriots because it was the first game of the season. You can't overlook the very first. You can't. So. You shouldn't overlook the very first thing. But it almost seems like they held too much back because they didn't want to open up the playbook. They didn't want to put a lot of stuff on film against the team that they should have housed by 2 or 3 scores. It's going to be telling how they come out. If they come out and 3 and out, like they did, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah,
they need to sustain drives. Yeah, they need explosive plays, but they need to stay on the field. The Bengals don't have the defensive line depth to be able to be out there for 60, 70 plays. I mean, BJ Hill played way too many snaps because the Bengals couldn't sustain drives. It was a almost 10-minute time possession, 34 and change to 25 and change. That can't be this game. I mean, if that is the case, then Pacheco is going to, the entire fourth quarter in the second half, Pacheco, P. Ryan, and whatever other running back they want to put there, they're just going to be running the ball through the middle because they're going to be gassed. They're not going to have anybody to stop the run. Even though, the defensive tackles, I think, did a pretty good job against the run.
They did admirably. They were satisfactory and adequate.
Overmatched, but Jay Tufele, performed at his 85th percent self, which is what you're hoping for. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You want this to be a track meet. If it's a close game, sluggish, low scoring game, I worry about the Bengals defense more than anything else. I think the offense will get a goal at some point. I hope it's sooner than later. But
speaking of the Bengals defense, do you think we kind of touched on this a little bit? Do you think they play Patrick Mahomes? I always remember the AFC Championship game where they didn't let him leave the pocket, and our secondary was awesome. And we had Jesse Bates then, which we got Stone and we got Bell back, and those two are really good coverage. Say what you want about Stone as tackling, but do you see them doing the same philosophy which I don't see why you change it? That's what's worked in the past. Do you see them do the same thing, but you don't have DJ Reader? That's to me, that's a big problem of trying to keep him sustained, keep him in the pocket, and make him beat you from there.
I think that's the best chance that you have because you've got to make him beat you from the pocket. I hope they have a plan for it, but knowing that it's one of their biggest weaknesses and it's one of Mahomes' biggest strengths, I like his prop of over 20.5 yards or over 4.5 rushing attempts. I just see that as being a weapon that they use where if the Bengals have to sell out in coverage to try and lock up these weapons, because it's not just, hey, you have Travis Kelce and now there's this rookie Rashee Rice who plays 25% of the snaps, and now you don't have Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney out there just getting all the snaps and dropping a bunch of passes like Marquez Valdes-Scantling. You have some legitimate threats out there now, so you have more to worry about. So I wonder if dedicating a lot of resources to trying to stop the pass, to trying to stop the run, that sometimes Mahomes kind of goes for his scrambles and, scoots and gets his 6-7 yards on the boundary, and that's that. So hopefully they can find a way to contain him. And like you said, make you beat him from the pocket, make him feed the ball to Isaiah Pacheco by playing with box counts and see what you can do.
Now, do you see that? I saw this a lot in training camp, and I've asked other people this. I saw a lot of screenplays in training camp. I didn't see a lot in the first game.
I think 3.
Yeah, I think they need more than that, especially Chase Brown. I think Chase Brown, get him in space, he can make some plays. Do you see that more in the fold here this Sunday, Evan?
Yeah, I do see them doing maybe a little bit of that, and also the quick game, maybe especially on the plays where they're blitzing and they're trying to get numbers advantages. They're trying to take advantage of an aggressive defense. I think a great way to do that is, like I said, the play action HB screen that they did versus the Patrick. I like that design.
That was a fun play.
Yeah, and there wasn't it was not really so much a screen. It was more of a quick game play action thing where they had two receivers running vertical routes and then Jamar Chase sprinting into the flat behind them and just kind of getting a free release and catching the ball and then running up the field a little bit for the first down. That kind of stuff is definitely what you're going to have to do to try and take advantage of some of these aggressive, quick-hitting plays that the Chiefs are going to try and do, because the pressure will be there with guys like Chris Jones, George Karlaftis rushing the passer.
And especially if T doesn't play, that's the thing too. I think you need to utilize the running game a little bit more, and Gesicki. I'm hoping Alt played great. I think I can't wait to see him more
I'd
integrated
love to see him more and more 12 personnel. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that watching him and Drew Sample just block is freaking ridiculous. I want to see Alt make some plays and get more targets this week. Yeah, Joe.
The ferocity that Eric All was approaching, like he on the touchdown run, I think he whiffed on the block, but he whiffed at 150 miles an hour. The play before that, like it just I don't know if it was a wind block or what exact concept was, just coming across the formation. I mean, he put a huge block on the linebacker. We know what he can do with the ball in his hands. So yeah, I think, especially you're gonna be playing without Higgins anyway. I assume Chase will probably be up to 100%. I mean, he played a lot of snaps.
It should be.
Played most snaps on Sunday anyway, but I
Ride
think the way forward, yeah. What's that?
I said ride Chase a lot this week.
Chase. I mean, those are the two guys that can make plays with the ball in their hands. And I like Zach Moss. I think he can do a lot of things. I think this is the game though you might like you want to feature Chase Brown a little more because he's got top end speed that very few guys in the league can catch. So, and just make it like the Arizona game when they just kept force feeding Jamar Chase the ball. And this, I think you have to. And then, they're going to roll coverage that way, and then maybe there's going to be something open on the other side. But
break it,
right? And just different formations, different. Have him line up out of the backfield again. Just anything to get him different looks, different releases. And again, like if they're running clear outs, just to give him some space underneath. Absolutely, I wouldn't run him deep all game long because that's a quick way to get him completely just
gas.
Wiped from the game plan. But yeah, anything underneath and give him the ball and let him run.
Evan, you got anything on that?
No, I think that's a really good idea, and that's a good point too. Is especially when he hasn't necessarily been practicing at full speed and in game, where I know he's been doing his own work on the side. I know he's Jamar Chase, and he's young and he's a great athlete, but there's a difference, as people constantly say, and as Trent Brown has once again proven that workout shape and football shape are different things, right?
Yeah.
So keeping that in mind, I think that's a great point. That you don't want Jamar Chase as much as he can be that vertical element. I don't think you want him to be that all game. I think so much of what the Bengals have lacked, especially on offense the last few years, has been yards after catch from the receivers. And that's the idea of getting more athletic by moving on from Tyler Boyd, by introducing Charlie Jones and Jermaine Burton and Yoshi Boss, and having these kind of options that have generally more athletic backgrounds. That's supposed to get you more of the yards after the catch. And this is what you're going to have to produce that against these blitz looks, against these opportunities that you get one-on-one in coverage. You got to produce separation, or you have to find a way to make a defender miss in the open field and produce more yards than just Joe Burrow has to throw perfect balls all game and get us every single yard in the air. That's not how so many operate, especially even like Rashee Rice that we're talking about. Last year, he racked up 1,200 total yards, and he had 8.1 yards after the catch per reception, which ranks second among receivers. Like 8 yards after the catch per reception, like just catch it and run for 8 yards on average. Like that's crazy.
Weren't the Bengals under 3 yards on Sunday for yards after catch? I saw a number and it was 2 point something.
I believe it because they had Jamar Chase over the middle was their biggest passing play, and he kind of fell right down trying to catch the ball at the same time. Yoshi Boss, when he did have that good out route and he threw the ball in perfect time, he had to kind of lean over and get it, so there wasn't.
And that one you're talking about where he fell down and catching the ball, or it was Joe didn't hit him in stride. That's where he's like, I saw after he's like, throw it out, because if he hits him in stride, he's not only gone for a touchdown, but he's got yards after catch there. And that's, again, goes back.
Right, that's more, and that was one of the things where, also just going back to the short plays again, like the yards after catch, when you're being forced to throw to the flats and they're just rallying and tackling so well on everything, you're not going to get much of that. But then also, I think that's a good point that you bring up, Jeff, is that he looked rusty, but it was more of the confidence factor. It was more feeling pressure when it wasn't there, not progressing.
He even said he had happy feet. Joe even said that.
Right, and that's a confidence issue, whereas some people are making this out to be a wrist issue. And I didn't see Peyton Manning at the end of his Broncos career waffling balls, right? I didn't see him sailing passes high, throwing them behind wide receivers. Like, he had a little bit of rust and a little bit of confidence issues. Like, I think more of the rust was there for the mental aspect of the game and the feel of the pocket, which pocket presence is usually one of his best things.
Well, when you're not in the pocket for 10 freaking months, you're going to be rusty. And that's what, and that kills me. So the whole water bottle gate where he picked the water bottle up like this, Dude, this whole thing is getting overblown. I'm like, he picked it up where it slipped or whatever. I'm like, and people are like, oh, he's doing this. I'm like, people, what? Look at the balls that he's throwing. They're fine. They're going to throw it deep. I'm like, that's not because he couldn't. He just didn't. He threw one to Yoshi that was deep. Yoshi got pulled down on that for a PI. I mean, the plays are there. Joe just didn't throw the ball. He didn't have confidence. He hadn't played 10 months. I'm like I keep saying, Superman has his kryptonite. Not to play for 10 months is Joe's kryptonite. And that could go for anybody of doing anything if you haven't done it for a while.
Yeah, the only pass that I can recall that Burrow it just seemed like he was comfortable throwing was the overturned touchdown pass to Gesicki. That was a ball put absolutely in a spot. If you guys can put it, I mean, and all around, 98%. The first 98% of that play was absolute perfection until he just couldn't control it through the.
It was exactly what you dreamed of.
Yeah, this is. I mean, that's why you got Mike Gesicki, because he's got the hands, he's got the ability to go up over top and make that play. Not a lot of tight ends can go up and with that ability make the catch.
Which actually the NFL came back and said, "Go ahead, sorry."
As I just hold on to the damn ball all the way through the.
But the NFL said it's a catch now. Did you hear that? They came out and said that was a catch now.
Oh, geez.
It doesn't count. Yeah. So they came out and said Gesicki, it was a catch. I mean, it doesn't matter.
I assumed that it looked pretty cut and dry that it wasn't.
They changed the freaking rules so many different times. I thought if the end zone and you had control of it and you hit the ground, it's over. It's a catch.
You have to control it through the ground. But
that's what it was. I thought they changed it. Did they change that? Am I wrong?
There needs to be a common sense doctrine. If you look at a catch,
right?
Yeah. If you see that's a catch. Right,
exactly. Common sense doctrine. If it looks like a catch, then it's a catch. They're trying to pick through 35 different movements and points of contact and everything, and you look at such a granular detail. It's like
you can spin, but not too much spin. A little
right? Did the ball move? Did he regain control?
I mean, it's like last year,
but he's got two hands on it. Is it
right?
So
it's like T. Higgins last year. He's got his two toes in, but his heels didn't come into the end zone. I'm like, what? What the hell does that have to do with getting it? He caught the ball, two toes in the end zone. That's a touchdown. Oh no, his heels got a hit. Huh? They made it so difficult to figure out.
His heels didn't even come down out of bounds. They just didn't come down.
They didn't come down at all.
Whatever it was. It was a weird explanation. And again, let's just go with the common sense doctrine. To just have somebody some official up in the booth and just say, yeah, he caught the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Exactly.
Touchdown.
So Evan, I know you're an Alabama fan. How are you feeling about your team this year?
There were some tough parts in that last game versus USF where it took a while to get rolling. But look, man, when I talked about this team last year, I said much of the same thing where they are just we're going to power run and we're going to throw it deep. And if that deep ball is not working and our run game isn't working, then we're in a lot of fucking trouble. And that's why I didn't think at the start of the last season that they would be competing for a national championship or be in the playoffs or deserve to be there. And then sure enough, they end up beating Georgia and doing all that. And as they got to the season, they definitely grew into it. But they still were subsisting on just that deep ball, power run, and play good defense. And so that's a very fragile formula when you start playing the actual good team. So we'll see how they be by the end of the season.
Well, at least
were you?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, were you? Are you aboard the Kalen DeBoer train? I think it was a weird. It was a weird fit. But I mean, the guy's a hell of a coach.
The crazy contrast is because they would have multiple penalties, and DeBoer's over there just on the sideline, and he's just versus Nick Saban after you get two penalties in Alabama.
What the fuck are you guys doing?
He had you out at midfield, flipped the throw. He'd be like, "What happens if you guys get penalties? You get another one. God damn it!" He would be freaking out. So it was interesting, that contrast for sure. When
a little
Saban
different
there. Yeah, so no, I think he's going to need time to, as they had transfers, as it does with any new coach coming in. Once he gets his recruiting classes in here, gets some transfers, kind of gets the stability that he needs as people kind of see the program maintaining that stability as well. I think that's going to be good for him, even though I'm not a huge Jalen Milroe fan.
Let me ask you this, and this, I'm a UC fan. I mean, UC, I don't even know where they are in the hierarchy of of college football, and even counting the last year and everything like that. I mean, I think they're a top 40-ish program, whatever. With the transfer portal and the fact that you, outside of a handful of top teams like Alabama, like Ohio State, you have no idea what your team is coming into the season. I think it's a shitty thing for the fan. You know what I mean? Like I don't, it's hard to follow because you don't know what your team is year after year. You can't really get to.
That's college football in general,
right? I don't know. Gotten so much. I
Yeah.
think it's gotten. I think it's gotten 5 times worse.
Oh, dude, I have no idea who's on
because
the
I mean,
team
it's
that time.
year after. Yeah, exactly. I'm still. I mean, I've got season tickets, and I don't know half of UC's receivers. A lot of these.
You're like, hey, who's number 35?
Right, exactly, and like that was I thought 35 was this guy last year, and he was a freshman, or he was a true freshman. What the hell? And it's to me, it's made it a little bit harder to watch. And again, if you're a fan of the Blue Bloods, you're keeping your guys and you're poaching, poaching better guys from the other programs.
Yeah, you are.
and you're losing your backups to be starters at other places. But I just think it. And again, I don't have a problem with the transfer portal. I mean, coaches can come and go as they please. Players should have that same thing, but I think it dilutes the product a little bit. I don't, what are your thoughts compared to before?
I feel much like you do at the start of the season, right? And I always find it's really funny. The start of the season versus draft season comes around.
Yeah.
The start of the season, I'm like, I have no idea what the landscape of college football looks like. I have no clue. Like you said, there's so much in and out that in the NFL you can keep up with it. There's more stability, whereas
Continuity.
Yeah, there's more continuity, and there's a fifth of the teams, right? you have to worry about. But then it's funny, by draft season, we know 300 and 400 players, and we're like, yeah, this guy and that guy.
I saw him play in Little Sisters of the Poor. He was awesome.
That's always funny. But yeah, I definitely agree. I know it makes it harder. I thought college football was already like that. And yeah, I can see why you would say that that's kind of exacerbated things a little bit. I think you just got to be. I think the crazy chaos is just an element of college football too, where you have offenses that are just gimmicky as hell, where you've got offensive linemen just diving at the ankles of the D tackles while they throw a screenplay to the 5-star athlete, right? And as much as you can do like NIL, paying for players, right? You might spend all your NIL money on let's say Riley Leonard, right? Where suddenly, if your scouting is still not good, just like it was before, your resources go to waste, right? But then you're hamstrung elsewhere. So as much as it is a little bit of an advantage for some of these bigger schools, if you're guessing wrong, if you're getting the wrong player, if you got a guy who can't handle having that money or just isn't as good as you thought he was coming out of high school, well, then now you've kind of wasted that money and those assets. And so I think that there is still a little bit of that element of we've got to pick the right players and at least develop them. But there's definitely a little bit of added advantage to the schools that have bigger boosters.
It seems harder to develop because again, you're training you're recruiting guys that fit your system, and then they're transferring out. And again, I get it. Like guys want to play. Like you're coming in and you think you're blocked by a couple of guys, or you see someone, someone's going to pay a hell of a lot of money. I get it, but and then you're trying to get guys from other. Programs to try to fit that. You don't know these guys as well. Maybe you recruited them back in the day, but if you didn't, then you might not know their strengths and weaknesses as well. It just seems it just makes it harder, I think, for everybody, much less big schools or small schools.
Right. Or you can be Debo Swinney and just ignore the transfer portal altogether. And
there's a reason that they're wandering out of the spotlight the last couple of years.
Yeah, we've seen how that works. I'm curious how long he can do that and still have his job.
Imagine if when phones came out, they were like, "Oh no, I'm not going to use phones to recruit people. Like that's dumb. You gotta get in the house. You can't call people. You got to be there in person, or it's not working."
We're not going to email you. I'm going to write you a letter. I'm like, it's
while your letter's getting there, he's had 5 conversations with all the other schools in the conference. Yeah, exactly. There's only so long you can go without utilizing that kind of tool or that kind of resource. It's the same way that any other advancement, technology, analytics, whatever you want to use as a placeholder, as things evolve, you can't fight it. Otherwise, you will get fired and be be gone. Yeah.
So,
It's almost like it's almost like a coach saying, "I'm not going to watch the all-22 film."
Right.
What? You
I was on the field. I don't need that.
right, yeah. I saw it with my own 2 eyes.
Right. I don't understand it. I mean, he's still winning by and large, but they're not as nationally relevant as they were 5 years ago. They've been surpassed.
Oh yeah. And well, and the thing is, like, Evan, I have a question. So to work for Malik, do you have to be an Alabama fan? Is that a requirement to work there? Because
it definitely doesn't hurt your eyes. As long as you can stomach saying "Roll Tide" every once in a while, yeah, we might be able to find a spot for somebody. Yeah.
I still have flashbacks from the national playoffs semifinals. So
I'm trying to bring up any
fuck the Tide.
memories. That's all right.
damn it, Evan!
I'm used to it. My girlfriend.
That was
and it's great.
You saw the differences between a really good group of 5 team in the trenches versus the best team in the trenches, and that's, I mean, you see matched up with Alabama's skill position. You're talking guys on the outside, receivers, cornerbacks.
My whole thing with that is they should have. I still think you should have put Kobe Bryant and Sauce on islands and just stack the box.
It was always,
but at least try. At least try.
It was always Desmond Ridder was going to just have errant accuracy, right? Where he'd have a throw or two where you'd be like, wow, well, look at the placement on that ball. Look at that rollout on the run. And then suddenly wide open little corner route, and he'd airmail it. And it's like, you had to have that one because it's the playoff. You knew he was going to miss those couple.
Yeah, and as soon as they got behind and they couldn't stop the run, Brian Robinson just got
force fed
the ball.
Stack the middle. At least try to. Anyway, I was screaming at it. I get back. I have PTSD. I'm like, we have 2 of the best corners in college football. Put them on the island. Stack. At least try.
In college football.
Yeah.
Don't forget, Kobe Bryant won the Jim Thorpe Award that year.
Right. So like,
Sauce Gardner.
Right. That's why I'm like. That's why I did not understand it. I like at least try it. Just sell out for the run. Put those 2 out there and let's try and beat them. And I don't know if he would or not, but he never did that, and I never understood that at all.
Bryce Young was still a first overall draft pick. He would have been able to pick, like, even with
I would have, but at least try it.
Even with Kobe Bryant and whatever, they would have had a third receiver. They would have found somebody.
I'll just say at least try it, Joe. Just try it. Try it. And they didn't. Anyway. Evan, I appreciate you, man. Tell everybody where they can follow you at. We got the State of the Jungle last night. Evan Money Mcphillips. You can follow him on X. Go ahead, you tell everybody where you follow you at. What you got?
Got me on X, or Twitter is all the same. People tend to call it sometimes.
Twix. Call it Twix.
Yeah, Twix. I like that.
I'm a left Twix fan. Are you guys a right Twix fan?
I got to stay with the right. You know,
I like the middle.
Lines are drawn. But you can find me at eMcPhil on Twitter, on X, whatever you want to call it. You can find us at the Sit Down 513, where we have State of the Jungle every Wednesday. At 7 p.m. And then every Friday, I'll be releasing a video called Know Thy Enemy, as I do a series throughout the season where I take a look at the upcoming opponent for the Bengals and talk about the players that are maybe unsung heroes of their teams that are actually worthy of praise, and then talk about the strengths and weaknesses and where the Bengals might be able to find some success and keys to victory.
Awesome. Well, I had a blast being on the show with you guys this summer, so anytime you want me back on again, let Malik know I'm available again, and I want to see how the new studios. You guys are telling me about it that night, and it looked pretty cool.
We got a nice little homey setup. It's very cozy. We got a new couch with some coasters and a little whiskey cupboard. So I might have to have a little whiskey on the show. And
hey, nice. On Tuesday nights we're doing me and Joe are doing a live show down at Moreland Lager House. I'd love to get you guys to come down sometime and hang out with us for an hour or so and.
Oh yeah, man, for sure. I'm working on getting my tickets to the Ravens and Bengals games with a bunch of friends too. So we'll be down there at that tailgate. And
we got a shotgun of beer.
It'll be my birthday weekend, so I might have.
Yes.
Just one. He's gonna have a couple.
Oh, don't worry. I'll have my classic case of Bud Light that I'm. You'll be able to find
Well, hey, make sure you show up to my tailgate at the Moreland Lager House. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and we'll do some shotgun in there. All right, Evan, appreciate you, man. Hooday.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye. I cut him off too quick. I hate when I do that. Let's see. Let's get you to full screen here. Hey, gal. Hey, you look better.
What's up, Ned Ron?
Neddy Ron. All right, so we got one more. Well, I got one more show. You're done for the week till Sunday. Got anything parting words or anything you want to leave about this upcoming game before I let you go?
There's a lot of chatter in the chat about the Bearcats and Scott Satterfield and that victory bell. If they lose, I can't see how Satterfield survives. You can't lose. Like, again, last year was going to be a struggle. Nobody. Satterfield, this is kind of insider. There was one booster that wanted Scott Satterfield. Cunningham didn't want him. The rest of the group didn't want him. There was one booster. I'm going to leave the guy's name out. And it was like family friend or whatever. That's why he got fired. It was, you don't hire this guy. My money goes bye-bye. I don't see how anybody can justify him losing again to a MAC team 2 years in a row.
When he hadn't lost to him in what, 15, 12, 15?
18 straight. 18 straight.
Yeah.
It's going to snowball. Again, the Big 12 doesn't have a juggernaut, but they have 6-7 teams that are all going to be really good. They'll probably have 8 different teams that make it that are in and out of the rankings at various points of the season.
They're going to have a couple of them in the playoffs, too, at least.
Well, yeah, I mean, at least one. I don't know. It remains to be seen how,
Well, I think
this conference is going to kick the shit out of each other. There's so many good teams and no juggernaut that it's not going to be one team that runs the table and another team that has 10 wins, winning everything but that. Everyone's going to be 9-3, maybe 10-2. It's the most fun conference, I think. Big 12 is not soft. Come on. The bottom of it, like Bearcats are the bottom of the conference. Bearcats are Houston, and those are two. But Bearcats were soft.
We're not soft.
Running 3.
Bearcats are not soft. Shut up, Joe.
Running 3 down linemen the entire fucking game when you're getting gashed. They had one player.
Yeah.
Pitt had one player. The running back had over 100 yards rushing, over 100 yards receiving. Like no, if they lose,
I'm gonna be.
It's.
God.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't want to think about they lose, dude. There is no freaking way they should lose again to the Red Hawks.
They shouldn't have lost to Pittsburgh. Yet they still pulled it out. They're on the road.
If they fucking score one touchdown in the second half, they win that damn game. That's all they had to do.
They did. It was 17-3 at half. They scored 10 points in the third quarter.
Yeah. All right, one more. Sorry, but I mean, sorry.
You're right. Here's an idea.
Actually, it was 6. The Pitt had 6 at halftime.
Yeah, that's right. Because they got gifted the field goal at the end there. But I mean, you gave up a 3-touchdown lead at home to a rowdy crowd, and it's I don't know, man. Scott Satterfield is. There's a reason Louisville
fired him.
Lost. No, they didn't fire him.
Wanted him to leave.
Right. They were fucking laughing because they wanted to fire him. The Bearcats saved them a buyout.
Right.
And this is the guy that they wanted coming into a new conference, losing all their recruits, losing all the shit they were going to lose with Fickle leaving anyway. And that's the guy. Man. Yeah, I would love to have Marcus Freeman come back, but
he's at Notre Dame. How?
Well, I mean, if they lose to Northern Illinois, if they keep losing to the Northern Illinois, he's going to be looking for a job. I would love it, but I mean, Marcus Freeman has bigger aspirations than Notre Dame. So clearly he has bigger aspirations than UC.
Yeah, but if he gets fired from Notre Dame, he's not going to go up. If he gets fired from Notre Dame.
I mean, this would be a nice soft landing, but I mean, what are the odds that that's going to match up to where he gets fired the same
I don't know. Well,
hiring cycle that the Bearcats have an opening?
What I like in the formula that has worked for the Bearcats in the past is getting, well, we got Fickle was a coordinator, but before that was getting young coaches from the MAC, from schools like that.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be from wherever, just young up and comers.
That's where I think if Sack gets fired, that's where I think they need to do. And look, I've said this before that I think you need to give him 3 years. But if you start out and you lose to Miami again, it's just the way they lost to Pitt. Because that's the way they lost every damn game last year, it seemed like. They were there and they just couldn't finish or they collapsed. And the collapsing part is the part that I don't like. And it happened again. When you said they're up at 3 touchdowns, you shouldn't. You're at home. You don't give that up. You don't lose that.
Again, I think if they have a regular, if they finish 6-6, 7-5 range, maybe 5-7, maybe you give them that third year.
6-6 is staying. 6-6 is staying. Yeah.
If they lose to Miami, it's snowballing, and they're not going to get to 6 wins. They're not going to get to 5 wins. They'll be lucky to win 4.
Because it's not getting easier. Because we haven't got to the Big 12 yet.
Right, and Houston isn't very good. That's their first the first conference game on the 21st. Fucking noon kickoffs. These fuckers want a noon kickoff.
Well, if you didn't have
football game,
if you didn't have noon, look, if you didn't have kids, you wouldn't have to worry about this. See,
I know. I didn't necessarily plan on them. They just happened.
They just showed up. You're like,
I mean, I understand.
Where the hell did you come from?
I understand.
Do I have to explain to you how it happened, Joe? Do I have to explain to you
the science? But it just was,
the stork dropped them off.
Right. Made it almost 29 years, without one, and now I got two, and they're expensive, and they have 8 million things that they got to go to.
See, that's what my kids. My kids are grown. One's out of the house, the other one's almost out. So yeah. Getting there. I got a soft. Like I said, though, I keep telling you, enjoy it because it goes by fast. It does.
You've met Cam. He's a great kid. He's a funny, he's sarcastic. He's mini me, and I love him, and he's awesome.
Yes, he is.
But when you have someone who's a lot like yourself, you realize how much of a pain in the ass. I realize how much of a pain in the ass I truly am. when this is like basically it's a mirror. It's my reflection. So
exactly. It's like, why'd I do that anyway?
Yeah.
All right, Joe. I appreciate it. I'll see you Sunday. We'll do a post game show, and
probably be about 8:00 ish. Just win the fucking game, guys. I don't care if it's
win the game.
85-84. I don't care if it's 212. What was the Georgia Tech over? Whatever the highest scoring college football game ever, 212 to whatever. I don't remember.
Something like that.
I don't remember. I don't care if you win 3-2. Just win the fucking game, okay?
Exactly. Win. Gotta win. All right, dude. I'll see you Sunday.
Adios.
Hooday. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. My thanks to Joe and Evan, as always, for joining me. If you guys have not checked out the best wings around, why the hell not? It's Midwest's best barbecue. Check them out. They're right there on the east side, Ward's Corner Avenue. Exit. Get you some Dillinator wings, some CTB wings, some Uno wings, pulled pork sandwiches. Literally, throw a dart at the menu. I guarantee you'll like it. Tell Tim and Nicole I sent you. Again, that's Midwest's best barbecue. Also, show is brought to you by Meyer Windows and Doors and more. Check them out at www.meyercincinnati.com for all your window and door needs. I got them in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. And my Westside peeps, check out Hail Mary's your ticket to the game. They got big-ass TV stream, beer specials, food trucks, all kinds of cool stuff. And make sure you guys check me and Joe out every Tuesday. Live sports talk at the Moreland Lager House from 6 to 8. The happy hour starts at 3, goes all the way till 9. We've had a great time the last 2 weeks. This Tuesday will be our 3rd show in a row. It'll be a lot of fun. And next Monday, we will be, so there won't be, well, not this Monday, the Monday after that. The next home game will be a Monday night game. It'll be the Ring of Honor game. Corey Dillon will be in town. So there'll be a show, but it'll be live at the Mercedes-Benz of Fort Mitchell Club at the Moreland Lager House, the pregame experience, 3 hours before every Bengals home game. Make sure you show up. It's only $75, people. Now you're like, oh my God, $75. Like, seriously. $75 for an open bar. When I legitimately say open bar, I mean open bar. My dad got a martini there. You can get whatever you want. People are like, what do you mean by open bar? I'm like, you literally can get whatever you want. They'll serve it to you. They had shrimp there. They had crab cakes. They had chicken wings. The buffet was delicious. And you're not running out of food. So, again, check out the Mercedes-Benz of Fort Mitchell Club at Moreland Lager House, the pregame experience. Check it out. It's on all my social media stuff on the Mercedes, or on Moreland Lager House Mercedes, on Moreland Lager House's social media stuff. Make sure you check it out. It's a lot of fun. You guys have a wonderful day. I have a fun Friday show tomorrow. Who do I got? Who do I have on? Let me see. I think I know. Actually, I know it. I got it written down here. Yep, I got Jay Morrison from Pro Football Network. He's going to be joining the show on Friday. And we'll be talking Monday about a Bengals win. At least I hope so. Other than that, you guys have a great day. Throw it up. That's just sports, baby. See ya!
They still gotta play us. Let's go, baby. Woo!
Hey, don't run that ball on the 100. Showed you how that go down. Feeling like Santino, tell him we want all the smoke now. We ain't snooping that commercial, we don't put no smoke down. Plus we back and you can't hide, so it ain't nowhere safe to go now. And we always gon' turn up in that jungle every time. How we ain't gon' win when we loaded in with 9? Plus T just came in signed, so the city gon' be fine. Jamar say he open every time and he ain't never lied. Look at how we win at it, the size of the old line. Giving Burrow extra time should be a federal crime. Hey, we right back on that path again. Put the division back to the test, they won't pass again. Orlando and Trent Brown, that's the Tower Twins. Feel like we only getting better as we stacking wins.
And we stacking.
Jaceki in for 6, that's a gritty again. AFC North battles getting gritty again. It's Yoshi second year, we just brought Burton in. Vaughn back to ring some bells, get the cracking again.